as well as successful.
Fritzie Borgwardt joins us with that story and more news from the war. Fritzie.
Rod and Heather, the air war in the Persian Gulf has created an air traffic control nightmare over Iraq and Kuwait. The skies in that region tonight are more crowded than the skies over LA International Airport. But according to Brigadier General Richard Neal, U.S. pilots are coping well, and he had nothing but praise today for military air traffic controllers.
It's unbelievable the job that these young airmen, both male and female, are doing on a nightly and on a daily and a 24-hour basis. They're doing we talk about air control problems in the States, and we do have them, but you compare what's going on over these areas at night, and as I mentioned last night, they make LAX, Dallas, and Atlanta pale in comparison.
And all those U.S. warplanes inflicted serious damage today on an Iraqi convoy. General Neal says there were 20 to 50 Iraqi vehicles, some of them armored, motoring through southern Kuwait. No count on the number of vehicles destroyed, but pilots say their bombs exploded on the convoy in several places. Also today, an Allied F-15 shot down an Iraqi helicopter in midair. And as of early this evening, there had been no Allied losses in the 27th day of the war. A group of citizens in Jordan have found a way to make money on U.S. military hardware. Today they auctioned off part of the wreckage from a U.S. missile that had fallen on Iraq. The auction raised more than $60,000. The auctioneers say the money will be used to buy milk, medicine, and other relief supplies for Iraqi children. And some of the money to help Israel pay for Scud missile damage may come from the U.S. President Bush said today he'll also ask other countries for the money to help. Israel was hit by 2 Scuds again last night. One landed in a rural area, another hit some buildings in a residential area, slightly wounding 6 people.
It's so terrible, but I didn't think it will happen to me. Now I really don't know what will I do.
So far in the war, 32 Scud missiles have been launched at Israel, some hitting the ground, killing 4 people and hurting 300. Israel estimates it will need $13 billion to pay for the damage and for its part in the war. All the bombing, meanwhile, has some Israeli citizens ignoring the government's emergency instructions. The bombs have damaged so many buildings and hurt so many people that many Israelis are leaving their sealed rooms to run to bomb shelters. And the government fears that could mean disaster if and when there's a chemical attack.
Running out to the public bomb shelter, they may, because just the missile is landing somewhere in the neighborhood. And by that, we may have many more casualties.
A report that a missing CBS News crew was being held by the Iraqis is being downplayed tonight by U.S. military officials. An Iraqi defector told a Washington Times reporter the crew was being held in Kuwait, but U.S. officials in Tehran say it's hard to know whether the Iraqi is credible. The 4 CBS News employees, including veteran newsman Bob Simon, vanished several weeks ago while on an unescorted trip to the Kuwaiti border. And there's increasing tension between the press and the military tonight. The military is standing firm on requiring escorted press pools, which is making some journalists angry. In the past 2 weeks, the military has detained at least 12 journalists for violating the pool arrangements. Environmentalists say whole species of birds could be wiped out by the war-induced oil spill in the Persian Gulf. An international team of experts is in Israel, Saudi Arabia now, trying to save as many of the birds as possible.
It's the worst thing I have ever seen in my life. Could never have imagined. I don't know how they lived to even get here.
The slick is now moving toward Dafi Bay, one of Saudi Arabia's main shrimp nurseries. I'll be keeping an eye out for any other developments in the Gulf tonight, and if anything happens, Heather and Rod will let you know right away.
Okay, thank you, Fritzie. Rod?
In other news tonight, U.S. Senator Paul Wellstone has called news headlines.
The weapon is now in the hands of Syria, Israel's geographic neighbor to the north.
Fritzie Borgwardt joins us with that story and other news tonight from the Gulf. Fritzie?
Rod and Robin, a more powerful version of the Iraqi Scud missile is now part of the Syrian arsenal. Sources in Israel say about 24 Scud missiles and 20 launchers have been sent to Syria from North Korea. The Scuds are said to be more advanced and powerful than those Iraq fired at Israel and Saudi Arabia during the war. 12 people have been indicted for helping Iraq produce poison gas. A German prosecutor handling the case says the indictments follow weeks of testimony that German companies helped Saddam Hussein's weapons program. The charges have embarrassed the Bonn government, and politicians there are demanding harsher laws to keep German companies from arming dangerous dictators. The Pentagon says U.S. prisoners of war were mistreated. Spokesman Pete Williams wouldn't elaborate, but said it happened during interrogation by the Iraqis and could constitute Iraqi war crimes. 400 Army Reserve troops from North Dakota are having their homecoming delayed because of a plane crash here in the States. Members of the Army Reserve 311th Evacuation Hospital landed in New York and were supposed to be in Wisconsin by this morning. But a cargo plane crash at New York's Kennedy International Airport has delayed all flights. The troops should be back in North Dakota by Saturday. And thousands of Kuwaitis could be on their way home soon. The Red Cross says Kuwaitis taken hostage by Iraq could be released at any time. 1,200 Kuwaitis were released last Thursday, but it's estimated Iraq took about 9,000 hostages when the occupying troops left Kuwait City. No date for the release has been set. And General Norman Schwarzkopf is back in Kuwait City for the first time since he helped liberate it. This time he had a chance to gather a souvenir, a vial of sand from the city's beach. Schwarzkopf says he's relieved the war is over.
I am very happy to see that the city is not destroyed. I'm very happy to see that the bombing that we did was against Iraqi targets. But most of all, I'm just happy to see that the city is liberated and that it's back in the hands of the Kuwaitis.
Kuwait has now opened the major port of Shiaiba. Allied divers say they have cleared the oil-clogged waters of dozens of mines laid by Iraq. And much of what's left of Iraq's hardware has been blown to bits tonight. In a series of huge explosions, the U.S. Army blew up 4,300 tons of Iraqi artillery today. The weaponry was exploded in the desert in southern Iraq. It was the largest cache discovered by the Allies so far. Next, 200 Iraqi bunkers will be destroyed. Kuwait is considering re-drilling some oil wells. The country's existing wells are ablaze in the wake of Iraq's scorched earth policy. 500 wells are on fire and they're costing Kuwait about $100 million per day. The new drilling is expected to begin in a few days to restore some oil production to that country. OPEC oil ministers continued their meetings in Geneva today, trying to prop up sagging oil prices. The members voted to trim production by about 1 million barrels a day, and in New York, the decision pushed near-month contracts for light sweet crude up 69 cents to $19.68 a barrel. That's all for Gulf Update. Rod and Robin, back to you.
Okay, Fritzie, thank you very much. At the state capitol today,
April Glaspie spoke publicly about the crisis today on Capitol Hill. Fritzie Borgwardt joins us now with more on that story and, of course, other news from the Middle East. Fritzie?
Heather, the woman who some say could have prevented the Persian Gulf War, appeared before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee today. April Glaspie was the U.S. ambassador to Iraq just before the war began. Some say Glaspie blew a chance to warn Hussein not to invade Kuwait. But today, she denied that.
I was summoned at midnight in Baghdad, as was the UAE ambassador. I, of course, repeated our announcement and explained that we were a superpower and we intended to act like one. We had vital interests and we would protect them. And that was that.
Glaspie says she met with Saddam Hussein on July 25th and she thought he got the message. Glaspie is being replaced. Meanwhile, the Senate has voted to cut off U.S. military and economic aid to Jordan. The U.S. is punishing Jordan for its pro-Iraqi stance during the Persian Gulf War. The sanctions will mean an end to $55 million in military and economic aid to that country. But President Bush said the aid could be restored if Jordan could show that it had begun to help restore peace to the region. There's still no peace for Iraq. While rebels try to overthrow Saddam Hussein, his supporters are also making their voices heard. A large crowd marched through the streets of Basra yesterday, chanting pro-Saddam slogans, carrying his picture, and waving Iraqi flags. And the Red Cross is warning of a possible famine in Iraq. The relief agency is rushing a convoy of food and medicine to that country and asking other agencies to do the same. Though some food has been stockpiled in Baghdad over the past 3 weeks, the destruction from the war is keeping it from getting to hungry people outside the city. Iran may soon restore diplomatic ties with Saudi Arabia. An announcement on Tehran radio says the two countries will resume relations on Tuesday. No comment yet from Saudi Arabia. The Saudis severed ties with Iran 3 years ago in a dispute over how many Iranis should be allowed to Mecca during the holy season. Tehran radio says the issue has now been resolved. Heather and Rod?
Okay, thank you, Fritzie. A Northwest Airlines jet lost a piece of an engine while taking off from Twin Cities International this morning. Fortunately, the 6-foot-long section of metal fell to the ground without hitting any buildings or anybody. But for the people who watched it happen...
I'm sorry, tell me that one more time.
Yes.
Repeat it for me, I'm sorry.
Okay. When the people, when they threw the man out, he told them that his grandparents were still in there. They didn't believe him, threw him in the back seat of the car, drove him off downtown. They burnt up in there. So I said,
Charged, not fired. One person, can they arrested one person then?
Two.
Two people.
yeah,
Thank you. What's your name?
James
Your last name?
Barnes.
B-A-R-N-E-S?
Yes.
Jed?
James